Good morning, beautiful. Today is May 11th, 2020, and yesterday you celebrated to the most beautiful person in the world for you, right? Your moms. I hope you had a really awesome day. Well, today we are going to work on social studies, children, defending against invaders. Okay, last week I totally forgot about social studies. I'm sorry. So this is the reason why we are going to be reviewing this topic. This is of Contract 5, Week 4. So please, you are just going to check the answers. Yes? Okay. So we are going to start. We are going to read the questions and the answers. Okay? Perfect. Let's start, my beautiful. The first one. Please open your contracts. The first exercise was defining the following concepts, and you had 15 concepts. I am not going to review each definition. Why? Because you have them on the glossary, right, on your book. So check them. The second exercises, it says, for centuries, Russia used its geographic strengths, location, size, isolation, and climate to defend against invaders. Why did Napoleon invade Russia? Because he was mad. Because they refused to go along with his plan. Okay? Number 2. Why did the Russians burn all the supplies they had? So that Napoleon's troops wouldn't have supplies. Number 3. What was the consequence of the act mentioned above? The consequence was that Napoleon's troops didn't have supplies, and along with the harsh winter was the cause of their defeat. Here you can see some pictures when Napoleon was invading Russia. Next. Okay, number 1. During which war did Hitler invade Russia? It was during the World War II. Number 2. Describe what happened during this invasion. Due to the winter, the Nazi soldiers died. Number 3. What role did Russia's geography play in defeating Napoleon and Hitler? The intense heat and intense cold of that region contributed. Do you remember that we were talking about the climate of Russia, that it's very extreme? That's the reason why they were defeated. Number 4. In what ways were Nazi Germany's experiences in Russia similar to those of Napoleon? Well, the weather, okay? The weather was the one who caused this experience to both of them. Again, we are talking about the intense heat and the intense cold. Next, both peasants and industrial workers led difficult lives, but they played important roles in Russia's history. Number 1, what happened to the serfs under the rule of Ivan the Terrible? They had to pay rent for their house and plot of land. They couldn't live without permission and had few rights. Number 2, what did Caesar Alexander II do about what Ivan the Terrible had done? He freed them so they could become industrial workers for wages. Number 3, according to the illustration on this page, what can you conclude about the type of work serfs performed? It was a very hard labor, right? Next, number 4. Who were the Bolsheviks and who led them? V.I. Lenin led this activist political group. V.I. it's because he was called Vladimir Ilyich. Okay? Number 5. Who began the Industrial Revolution? In February 1917, the Bolsheviks began the Industrial Revolution. Number 6. What roles did serfs and industrial workers play in Russian history? They helped the country become industrialized. The next exercise, study the map and graph on this page. Number 1. According to the graph, Which industry grew the least between 1890 and 1900s? Cotton manufacturing. This is a cotton. And the most? Pig iron. Why do you think these industries grew at these rates? Because there were less farmers and more industrial workers. Number 2. Based on the graph, the map, and the text, what conclusions can you draw about the Industrial Revolution in Russia? It grew because of the changes that Caesar Alexander II made and the changes in the serfs. Number 3. Why do you think several railroad lines ran through Moscow? They ran through Moscow because it was an important point to industry. This is very, very interesting, right? I hope that you read these pages of the Social Studies book. The next exercise. The Communist Soviet Union had a powerful central government that controlled the region from 1922 until 1991. Number 1. The two most powerful countries in the world after World War II were, the first one was the Soviet Union, and the second one, the United States. Number 2. What caused the tension of these two countries? Because of their different political and economic systems. Number 3. Why was this conflict known as the Cold War? Because the countries didn't fight directly. Number 4. What happened during the Cold War? Both countries developed nuclear weapons and competed to go to space. Number 5. What were the collective farms? Workers produced a certain amount of food determined by the government and got a share. Number 6. What do you know about the Sputnik? It was the first satellite. It was launched in 1957 by the Soviet Union. The mission lasted 21 days. Next, number 1. How was the quality of life in Russia during this time? It was poor. They had guaranteed jobs but lower standards of living. They had little access to consumer goods. Number 2. Complete the following timeline. Okay, you have this timeline. It's very short. What happened in 1922? The Soviet Union forms. Then, between 1925 and 1945, Stalin becomes Soviet leader. Between 1941 and 1945, the Soviet Union fights Germany in World War II. During 1945, the Cold War begins. In 1957, Soviets launch Sputnik satellite. 1961, Soviets sent first person into space. 1985, Gorbachev begins reform programs and works with President Reagan to end Cold War. And finally, during 1991, the Soviet Union collapses. Okay, this is the end of these exercises that you had on your contract. Now, please, this is what you are going to do. You are going to type in the comments some words. Okay, do you remember the first exercise that you have on your contract? That you have to define some concepts? There are 15 words. Okay, you are going to write the word that corresponds to your list number. So imagine that Miss Lulu is number 14. So I would have to write collective farms. Okay? Please remember that if you do not type in the comment, it's a 5. Okay? Because you are not watching the video. Thank you very much for your attention, my beautiful, and have an awesome day. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.